7:14 now, and Shelby County enters into Phase 1C today. This comes after the city of Memphis takes over vaccine distribution here in Shelby County. And Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland is joining us live now. Mayor, good morning to you. The controversy over at the Shelby County Health Department. First of all, what did you think about all that?
Well, I don't know if I thought much about it. Like most citizens, I was concerned, but immediately turned into responsibility because the state asked us to step in and take over. So I've been moving forward for those. It's been almost 2 weeks now.
Yeah. So take over. What does that mean for the city, and how do you expect that to go?
Well, what they asked us to take over was the storage and the transportation responsibility for the vaccine doses themselves that the public gets. Hospitals and pharmacies still get theirs, so we're not controlling that. Basically, the 5 locations that we have for drive-through testing, the vaccines there, and then as you know, we manage 3 of the 5 drive-through locations. We're not in control of the public health crisis. We don't determine what businesses are closed or anything like that. We don't handle vaccines for any other disease.
Are you concerned as the leader of the city about the public trust in light of what happened with the health department now that the city's in charge of this?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't really have much time to worry about that. What we're trying to do is open every single day and put shots in the arms of thousands of individuals. The last 2 weeks, we've done a little over 30,000 per week. And this week, I think we're shooting it's 20 to 30,000. So that's what we're focused on. I do think as an ancillary to that, if we do this well, that will rebuild the trust.
Yeah, I know that we had an issue when we had bad weather, and then we had the issues around the health department. Is it looking good now going forward in terms of not running out of doses, being able to vaccinate anybody who wants to get vaccinated?
Well, we don't have the supply yet to vaccinate anyone who wants to be vaccinated yet. Originally, as you'll recall, President Biden said he wanted everyone to have the access by August 1. Well, he's moved that up to May 31st. And we've got to build capacity to be able to handle that many doses. We thought with the August 1st date, it'd be 50,000 doses per week. With a May 31st date, you're talking 75,000 doses a week. So we've got to build a lot more capacity. Right now, we can do with the hospitals and the pharmacies and so forth, we can do 40,000 a week. We're just building that capacity over time to be able to handle those doses. But right now, we have the capacity to handle the doses that were given by the state.
And as we reflect, 1 year ago today was when the county was notified that we had a case. Looking back, did you think, what did you think was going to happen now a year later?
I don't think we really knew what was going to happen. I don't think any of us really knew, even the experts. It was all new ground. I think we thought we could harness it and limit its spread. Remember, we were talking about whether there's public spread or not, and that was a big word the first few days. I think in hindsight, we should have realized that there probably was public spread at that time, and if not, it was going to happen shortly, no matter what we did. So it's been a long 12 months. I feel for those people who've been sick or lost loved ones. Thousands have lost their jobs. Hundreds have lost their business. I really want to be able to get as many shots in arms as possible, as quickly as possible, so we can get back to normal.
Yeah, a year later, still in the fight. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland joining us this morning. Appreciate it, Mayor, and good luck.